Hello, everyone. Welcome to this impromptu stream. Well, I guess we talked about it like 2 days ago or 3 days ago. We were going to do this, and I forgot to schedule it. But here we are. So, if you have not tuned into Svelte Society Stream 4, this is what it looks like. I don't know really what to say here. We don't do these that often anymore. I'm hoping I can do them a bit more often now, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm joined by Elliot. Hello, Elliot.
Hello.
Hey. So you are a core maintainer at
Yep.
on the Svelte team working at Vercel. Maybe you can give us an intro. How'd you find Svelte? Why are you into Svelte? Hey.
Funny enough, I actually just posted on Blue Sky yesterday, uh, when because with Thanksgiving in the Americas, so just making a little shout out to the team. But yeah, basically, I started off not in web development at all. I was in like business intelligence analytics, which is like database and visualization stuff, and it
It's
was
like
fun, but like
SQL and stuff.
oh yeah, lots of SQL. I know
Uh,
way more SQL than I need to know for my job at all now, and I am always 50% dreadful, 50% happy when I get to like go back and do something in SQL. But yeah, lots of SQL, lots of dashboards, Power BI, Tableau, that kind of stuff, and it was fun, but like it was not the career for me, and so I was looking to make a switch, and I just started like working on web development stuff and like trying to learn React when you don't know JavaScript yet is like really,
that
really
is
tricky.
tough.
Yeah, it is a crazy, crazy thing to try to do. Some people manage to pull it off. I was not one of those people. And I stumbled upon Svelte pretty early on there. And I was lucky enough to be in a job at the time where we had like an internal portal thing that we needed to build, and I was the only software engineer there, so it was kind of like, you're going to let me use what I want to build
Oh,
this, or
nice.
it's not going to get done because this isn't even. I was in business intelligence there, so it was like, you know, uh,
Yeah.
this is not my job description, but I'm going to do my best for you. So we're going to use Svelte because that's all I know at this point. And that was like very early beta period for SvelteKit, but it's an internal app, and I'm the only one working on it. So like, great, let's go for it. And that was kind
So
of how it
so
all
was
got
that
started. Yeah.
so
What's that?
was so was that before the route kerfuffle? Before they switched the like like the Sapper way and then
Oh
switched to
yeah.
like the
So
plus
I was
page
I
way.
was in I was working on this site prior, like back when
Yeah.
layouts were like underscore. Was it one or two underscores? It was like
I don't
underscore
remember.
layout, and you could name your pages like whatever you wanted to, and you could like end up with weird conflicting routes where you had like files
Yeah.
or folder slash index and also the file name that, and that was all very confusing to me. but
Probably
we
to a
made
lot
it
of
out.
people.
we made it out. But yeah, I was working on that. I discovered some bugs that were like blocking me, and would go and contribute fixes. And I guess, I don't know, 6 months later or something, I ended up becoming a maintainer. And I found out about Vercel because they had just hired Rich like earlier that year or the year before or something. And
Mhm.
I found out about Vercel, deployed an application to Vercel, and went and applied the next day because I was just like, this is the
Oh,
coolest
nice.
software I've ever used. Uh, and then worked there for 2 years. And then my team kind of got farmed off to other teams like very early this year around January. And so I snuck on to the Svelte team while nobody was looking. And nobody has asked me to come back yet. So
Nice. Nice. So now you get to work on Svelte full time, is what
yes.
I'm hearing.
Yeah, it's
That
great.
is awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. So
So so this stream is called Building Hydratable with Elliott Johnson. Um, so what even is Hydratable? What is this thing that just like got merged to this Svelte code base the other day?
yeah, so to understand Hydratable, you need to understand a little bit about the kind of like async vision that we are working on right now. and more specifically how like SSR and hydration work with each other, right? So prior to Hydratable, my last big release was Async SSR. Previously, like before any of this came out, SSR was literally just like when your component runs on the server, we start from the top of it and we just like read the stuff that you've written and build a big string out of it. And that string is your HTML, which is like super nice for being simple and everything and really fast because
Yeah, I was going to say it's super
scan
fast.
the whole thing, stick it all into a string, and then send it to the client, and you're done. It's like great. Unfortunately, async stuff complicates that quite a bit because waterfalls and
Yeah, so maybe we can talk a bit about like what is async, right?
Yeah. So basically, let me spin up a little test project here, and we can talk about it.
Yep.
You might have to help me get my zoom on my code here appropriate.
Yep. Just need to share your screen in that.
Yeah, let's get. Hold on, I haven't used this platform before, so I am finding screen share.
You might have to leave and come back.
I hope not. We'll find out. Okay,
very intense.
See. I gotta go.
See, you're a board game fan.
Oh yeah, love the board games.
Nice. Have you tried Gloomhaven?
Have I tried which one?
Gloomhaven? Sorry.
Oh yes, it's been a long time. I had friends that were really into it, like I don't know how many years ago, but yes, and it was blast. But it's been quite a while.
Yeah, it's pretty. I guess it's pretty old at this point.
Yeah. Okay, I am gonna have to leave and come back. 1 sec.
Yeah. No worries. No
Can't
worries.
share my screen yet. Okay.
I will just have to entertain everyone in the meantime. Welcome to my humble abode. I live in a cabin made out of wood, as you can see. This is my bed. It's very, very does not have a lot of stuff on it. No, it's really just a guest bed. So who is in the chat with me today? We have Paolo. Hello, Paolo. I know you. I mean, I wish I was a lumberjack, Paolo. I don't have the attire. Welcome back, Elliot.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, good. I can share it now.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Now I got to figure out which screen is which. I think that's the right one. All right. So we've got, do you see us right now?
I do now.
All right. Yes, we got the infinite tunnel. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. So
success.
Perfect. Let's go ahead and get this stuff out of the way. And we've got my terminal that keeps getting eaten by the tunnel. So let's move you out of the way and get this guy set up. Okay. All right.
All right. Do you want to increase your font size a bit?
Yes, that's what I'm working on. How about there? Is that good?
Are we talking about the terminal at the moment?
Yeah. Is that big enough for you to see right now?
Yeah, I think another 1 or 2 increases. Yeah. Okay. That's nice.
All right, so I'm gonna create a little. There we go. I'm gonna create a little minimal guy here for you guys to show off. So we're just gonna initialize a little SvelteKit project. Sorry if my keyboard's a little bit loud. I don't have a better place to put my microphone.
That's fine.
Okay, so let's get this blown up as well.
Yeah, that's
all right. How's
that? Looks good.
Great. Okay, so basically, in order to use all of our async stuff, I'm going to come in here to my Svelte config and enable a couple of things. For our demo today, I really only need to do compiler options, experimental, async, true. All right, so we've got the experimental stuff from Svelte core enabled now. And so basically what I'm going to show off to you here is how async server rendering works in the first place. And then I will show you why hydration exists at the same time. So if we jump into a component like this, and I just declare a function for sleeping, that's perfect. I've only typed that 6,000 times. So I actually want this to give me a random number when I use it. So we're going to go resolve. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we're going to get ourselves a random number, and that might actually need to be just so that we don't get a bunch of red squiggly. So whenever we use Async SSR, the simplest example that I can give you is just rendering an H1. How did I end up with this many tags? And,
it's just like Copilot.
Yeah, I know, like what happened? So we're just gonna sleep for a second. And so when I pull up my browser here,
I think you might have to. Are you running the project already?
Not yet, which is probably a good call. So when I run this and I pull up the browser and I go to the root of this project, it's going to give me a number. And you can see every time I reload it, it's going to take 1 second and it's going to flash weirdly here. So like when I load it, you get that 1 second, you get 54 or whatever, and then you get 99. So what's actually happening here, and I can show you better by disabling JavaScript. So if I disable JavaScript and reload this, you're going to see the load and then the number, and then you're not going to see a new number. If I enable JavaScript, it's going to load, you're going to see the number, and then you're going to see another number. The reason for that is that all of these Svelte components are isomorphic, which means that they run on both the server and the client. That's pretty much fine for synchronous rendering, because like if it runs synchronously on the server and then it runs synchronously on the client, it's pretty much as fast as you're going to get it in the first place. Like, doesn't really matter. That is a problem when you're doing async stuff that's slow, because what it means is when this runs on the server, you're going to sleep for a second, get a random number. That's going to get put into your HTML that gets sent to the browser.
Just like that string. Right?
Yeah. So like whatever gets sent to the browser, I've got JavaScript turned off right now. Like the stuff that gets sent to the browser is exactly this right here. And this has not been updated at all, right? So we just got an H1 with the number in it. So when we go and hydrate, which is what we call like hooking up this code in the browser so that it becomes reactive and sets up the runtime and stuff, we get to this component and it has to run again in the browser, which basically means we hit this H1 again, it attaches itself to this H1, and it has to wait on this sleep function, which takes another second, which is really stupid because like we've just done that hard async work on the server.
Why do it again?
To get all that stuff. We've done the hard work of sending it to the browser and we've gotten all the way to the browser. And then it's like, why are we doing this again? What's the point? So Hydratable is a low-level API that we have produced to get around this problem and provide library authors with a tool that they can use to basically bypass the slow hydration step of working with isomorphic async data. So if we look at Svelte here, I wonder if this one's installed a new enough version of Svelte. We'll see. Looks like it. Okay, so if we import Hydratable here, this is not an API you are likely to use a lot as like an end user of Svelte, but it is likely an API that libraries that you use will use often.
So something like a TanStack query or
I mean, remote functions is going to be using it soon. We kind of built it because we're having to do some of that stuff in SvelteKit already, and it doesn't work perfectly because it doesn't have access to Svelte internals. So now it can through this. So basically, if we say, I'm going to move this actually out of the H1 just to make it clearer. But if we say like random number is hydratable, and we have to give it a key, and I'll show you why later, but I'm just going to give it a key, and not getting much help from Copilot here. Let's make this long enough that you can see it. Okay, so, all right. So basically what we've done here is we've taken this hydratable function, which accepts a key and a callback, and we have given it instructions to sleep for a second and return a random number. And then we're just awaiting the promise for that random number in our markup. It's going to result with the same thing we had previously. The difference is what hydratable does is when it runs on the server and it hits here, it sticks this in a map. So your key here is the key in the map, and then the value is the result of the function. In this case, the result of a function is a promise. So it's just going to stash the promise, it's going to return the promise, and it's going to move on. Yep. And what it's going to do in the background while everything else is happening is it is going to wait for your promise to resolve, take what was inside of it and serialize it, and it's going to send it along with all of the data that we sent to the client. And then when we get to the client and this runs during hydration on the client, it's going to get here, it's going to go hydratable, it's going to go random number, it's going to look in the serialized data that we sent to the client, it's going to say, that's there, and it's going to grab it and not run the function. And then if we were to mount this component, like not during hydration, it would just run the function. So you're not going to end up with like 10-minute-old stale data if you mount a component that uses a hydration or a hydratable that happens to have like a value in the hydration store. So before I actually show you, I want to show you, because it's going to be important in a second, this head element here.
Could you increase the font size a bit there?
Yes, good call. That's the wrong pane. There we go.
There that's we go. Better. Yeah. Oh, wow, that's a bit big.
I think I overshot.
That's enough.
How's that? Okay. So if you look in the head here, you'll see this little like comment section is basically where SvelteKit is putting the head content.
Like the hydration markers, right?
Yeah. So the stuff that's going to get stuck in the head is going to get stuck between these markers. Right now, we only have this, I think this is actually the favicon.
Yeah.
So this is just the favicon. That's the only thing we have getting put into the head right now. When I reload this page, because I have stuck hydratable in here, it is going to be different, and you're going to see different behavior. So let's look at the behavior first. So if I reload this page, we're going to get a random number, and I still haven't enabled JavaScript. So actually, I'm cheating.
Right.
Why is it not letting me? There we go.
Question.
All right, JavaScript is back on.
Yep.
Okay, so you're going to see the same behavior we used to have without JavaScript, even though we're running hydration, which is great. It means that we have produced our hard work on the server, sent it to the client, and hydrated on the client, so everything's interactive.
Yep.
But we haven't screwed up our data. So basically, the difference you're going to see here, we still have the same thing where it's like an H1 with a number, and there's nothing else there. But if we go look in the head, we end up with a script tag in the head. So basically, this script tag kind of runs before all of your other stuff runs, and it sets up some global state that we can use to make all of this work. We have a couple of aliases here. R for promise resolve is just because in large data, this R gets used for a lot of stuff. And so if you're repeating promise.resolve all the time, you end up with this gigantic string that doesn't need to be as long as it is. This guy is just capturing our global map. So like if I come into my console here and I go like window.svelte.h, that's our hydratable store and you can actually see that it's a map of random number to promise. And if I were to like dot get random number and then do that, I would get the value that we have up here, because that's what we stored when we were starting it. So basically, this is really simple here because we have stored a really simple value. The way that we do it is we iterate through this hard-coded array of stuff. And that hard-coded array is what SvelteKit produces when it is serializing your data on the server. And it's just going to chuck all of it into that map. And then this hydratable function is just checking that map whenever it goes. So this is the really simple version. I have some other cool stuff to show you about it, but let me pause for a second so that Kev or anybody who's online that wants to ask questions can, like, you know, make a request.
So one thing that pops up is in my head is like, is this map global? Like, is it showing up on all your pages in SvelteKit, for example, or is it going to show up on? If you had a Svelte app, I assume it would show up.
Yeah, so it's on Windows. So like it's scoped to whatever like tab you're on, basically. We did consider the very rare case of when you have like two separate Svelte apps mounted in the same window. And you basically have two solutions there. If you do have two separate Svelte apps, it could actually be desirable that the hydration data for one affects the other. Because if they're like mirrors or something, you know, you might actually want that. If you don't, it's pretty easy to like build your application around prefixing keys with like the identifier for your application or whatever. So like there were a lot of really complicated things we thought about doing to make that different, and it just ended up not being worth it. So basically, do what you need to do for you.
Yeah.
It's just a key.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I'm not seeing any questions so far in the chat, so I think we could move on if you want.
Yeah. So this is a really simple example where like we are getting a slow random number and we're preserving that. And it's a good example to show like how hydration works, because it doesn't update the data in the future. But in reality, you're likely to end up with more complicated data that you end up sending. I'm not going to waste time by just like building some crazy object with like stuff in it to serialize, because it just looks like a big crazy object that gets serialized. You can return anything from here that is serializable by dvalue, which is a library that we use for serialization, which includes like everything you would expect and also things that you wouldn't. So like you can serialize maps and sets and URLs and a big list of other things that you can go look at if you want to. In addition to that stuff, which is cool, you can also serialize arbitrarily nested promises as long as they resolve to other data that is serializable, right?
Right.
So that's what I'm going to show you, because that's actually kind of cool. It took us a little bit to figure out the solution for this. And so like one reason you might want to do this is if you have two API calls. I'm going to keep using my sleep function because I don't want to write a fake API. I don't actually need the function twice, though. I don't know why I did that. So if you have two different API calls, it can make more sense to just stick them into the same hydratable for syntactical purposes or for grouping purposes or whatever reason you have. So if we were to just take this and say, keys now random numbers, and I want multiple random numbers, but I don't want them to block on each other. So like I'm going to go async function, and I'm going to return an object. I'm going to go 1 sleep, 2 sleep for a different amount of time, and then 3 I'm actually going to do a let's do a sleep dot then. No, this will be more fun if I let's do sleep dot then, and then inside of this function, I'm going to return an additional sleep for 1,000. So we're actually going to get a promise with a, we're going to go nested so that we actually preserve the promise, doesn't get unwrapped by them. So I'm going to return a nested promise here. So we're actually going to end up with a promise that resolves to an object that has a promise inside.
Yep.
And we're just going to do this. Random number.1.
I think it's random numbers. I think the key, you changed the key to random. Oh, sorry.
Oh, it's because it's a promise. This function itself doesn't need to be async. There we go. I do not want to await that. Yeah, there we go. That's better. Okay, gotcha. So we've got an object that contains independent promises, right? So 1, 2, and then this is not working because I actually have to do some just nasty syntax where it's like await, and then await, right? So this is not that complicated from a JavaScript syntax perspective. It is that complicated from a making it actually work perspective.
I can imagine.
So let's get this guy here. So if I reload this, we should end up with, I guess, 4 seconds of sleeping total because of this nested guy. So we end up with these stable values here, which resolve to these like nested promises. And our serialization stuff becomes a little bit more fun.
Right.
So we end up with like this key value pair of like we get 1, 2, 3, and we end up with this nested. And it's basically just nested calls to these R functions where we're setting up promise.resolve so that the stuff on the other end is the same shape as the stuff that you wrote on the server. And the way that we do this is we basically just take all your promises out in the backyard and sit on them until they resolve while all your other stuff is going on, and do some weird recursive voodoo that is really not fun to look at. If you ever want to look at stuff, it is in the code base. It's pretty easy to find. Just look up the Hydratable file. Totally worth your time. But yeah, so I mean, you can stick pretty much whatever you want to in here as long as it's serializable by dvalue, and it will just kind of do it for you as you would expect. And this is how remote functions are going to work here in the very near future. I'm working on the PR right now, so like the serialization for them during hydration is going to pull from this, and then they'll do their whole like state management stuff outside of the hydratable lifecycle.
So I assume this is going to simplify the SvelteKit code base quite a bit, or like this part of it.
So it's actually not going to simplify it that much, because on the one hand, it's not going to simplify it much. It is going to improve the correctness of it. So for Hydratable, let's see, what's a good example of this? In Hydratable, you will not get the stored value. Like you won't get this value unless you actually run Hydratable during hydration.
All right.
Which can get complicated because like if you have a boundary or something that is hydrating after the rest of the app has already finished hydrating, it's like the rest of the app is not hydrating, but that section is hydrating. And the importance of that is if you don't know when hydration is happening, you can end up with stale data from this map. right? So right now, there are some cases in SvelteKit where you can get like stale data from the server for your initial value because we don't know that like it's inappropriate to use that data at this point, and we should actually rerun the function. So it will improve the correctness. The reason that it will not decrease the complexity or like allow us to remove a lot of code is essentially for legacy reasons. Yeah, because you can call remote functions in load, which is like outside of the render lifecycle. We still have to have our own like serialization cache thing for when you do that, because
that's a bummer.
Yeah, I know. Hydratable relies on being inside of the like the render lifecycle on the server, to not like leak values between multiple requests and stuff like that.
So would it be removed in like SvelteKit 3, or I assume it would at some point?
I don't think it's going to be that soon. I don't think there's anything we can do about it until load is gone, which may never happen or may happen a long time in the future, but like definitely not definitely not SvelteKit 3.
Wouldn't you be able to just not allow remote functions in load functions? Or is that?
Yeah, I mean, you could, but it basically just means that the first time you end up needing the same data that you have from a load function or from a remote function in a load function, you have to like duplicate the entire function, or like make a util for it that is then called from a remote function, which is it's just gross, and like it's not that big a deal. More or less, you just shouldn't use them in load functions, but if you need to break glass and do that, fine, do what you need to do. The other, I guess there are a couple of fun little safety features that Hydratable has. For your benefit, if you try to access a Hydratable in the client that does not exist, and you're doing it during hydration, during development it will give you an error, and during like production builds, it will give you a warning that hopefully will get picked up by your monitoring stuff. Because basically what that means is you screwed up and now your hydration's blocked on some async work that has to happen client side, and you don't want that to happen. So that's kind of fun. Whenever we have streaming SSR, Hydratable will also be able to stream stuff. So like in the case where we don't actually use the 3 or the nested, that can not block your SSR render. We can go ahead and send the SSR render because it wasn't used in there, but we can still stream in that data behind it, so that if like a future like boundary that is streaming or something like that uses it, it will be available for it.
Gotcha. That's pretty cool.
Without slowing down. Yeah, it's really cool. It was really fun to figure out. Thank God for Rich, because I really struggled on some of the serialization stuff.
I'm looking through the PR here, and it's like files changed 60. That sounds like a lot.
It's more than it actually is. There's just a lot of tests. So like each test gets like 3 files, so it's kind of cheating, you know.
Right.
Makes your PRs look a lot bigger.
Yeah, I mean, but still. So was it fun building it?
Intermittently.
Like any challenging problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We went through a lot of rounds of review for this one, and lots of different design changes.
What other stuff did you explore in terms of like Hydratable?
So
anything that comes to mind?
I think the biggest thing that we like added and cut was like custom serialization for the stuff that goes into a Hydratable. We had multiple working versions that had custom serialization, with the reasoning being like, if you're a library and you have a data type that you want to be able to provide serialization for, you can just do that, right? The problem is every version of it just wasn't as good as you. Here, I'll show you. So basically, if I have, let's get rid of some of this stuff so that we can focus. If I have like a class,
right,
and I want to be able to serialize that, and like inside of it I have data, which is a string, right? Some form of serialized, like this is a serializable data type. So you can serialize all the stuff inside of here. If you have a hydratable, and we're going to just, so let's make this async just so that it's a promise. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so basically, you can't serialize this under normal circumstances. You're going to have to do something custom. The way that we had it set up is you could basically provide serialization through an option right here.
Yeah.
And it turned out to not really be composable. It's really hard to provide a pluggable way to like serialize specific types of data that works with the like promise serialization stuff that we're doing. And what we realized after not that long is basically what you would do is just unwrap this thing and then recreate it on the client. So instead of having this guy inside of here, you in your function, instead of returning this, so like if we extract this to instead of returning this, you would hydratable the data and then wrap the data in this guy. So this would basically become
grievances,
this would basically become this, and then you would just go
do the opposite on
yeah,
client,
like
right?
new, you know, you'd have to build your constructor so that you can do it. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why this would become complicated pretty quickly.
Yeah, and like at the absolute worst end of things, like if you're a library like SvelteKit and you need to provide custom serialization for stuff, you can always just serialize the stuff and store the string in the hydratable and then deserialize it outside of the hydratable. Like you can take your life into your own hands if you really want to do that.
Yeah.
But it's like devalue covers like everything under the sun short of classes and functions. So it just ended up being
probably
too much
enough
complication for not enough benefit.
Yeah. Yeah, I've thought about like, so I've been getting into effect recently. I don't know if you know
you and everybody else in the ecosystem.
yeah, probably. And I was thinking like, how can I move an effect from the server to the client, right? That would, I would need to do some basically what I have to do now is unwrap the value and then like create an effect on the client. It just becomes this mess. But it's probably even, it would probably be even harder to do it in like a custom hydratable kind. That sounds very gnarly for like the framework author.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on the circumstance. Yeah, because like if at any point you have access to data, you can get that data, you can hydratable it, and then you can
just wrap it in an effect.
Wrap it in whatever you need to wrap it into hydratable it.
No, you're right.
Yeah, and I mean, somebody
Probably
can
not that
write a library for that if they want to. Like,
bad.
it's a Svelte core API, so like as long as you have a new enough version of Svelte, you can create a library out of it and do whatever the heck you want to do. Create your own wrappers, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned this would probably not be used by library authors, but
No,
oh
no,
well,
it
sorry,
will.
the other
Yeah,
way
yeah.
around, the other way
Other
around.
way.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, but I mean, I can see. Well, I guess if you're using SvelteKit, you're using remote function. You're not going to bother, right? Yeah, okay, yeah.
It's one
But
of those
this,
things where you probably like, if you know Svelte really well, you might reach for it every once in a while because you have this like clever solution that lets you like
right?
bypass some complexity that you
Yeah.
otherwise would have. But it's definitely not one that we will like teach as a core API.
No, but it's interesting. So, um, I had a question, forgot it. Oh well, maybe we can take some questions from the audience, see if they have any complicated questions that you can try to answer.
Yeah, I know. I'm a little scared of Palo.
Yeah, he's probably going to drop something very complicated for you to answer. So what comes after Hydratable? You mentioned like remote functions and SvelteKit are gonna run on Hydratable. Streaming, that probably isn't using Hydratables, but Hydratables are using the stream. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, kind of both.
Yeah.
So right now we're working on like stabilization stuff for async Svelte. There are a couple of things. The original PR, which I think is actually still open as a draft for Hydratable, had a couple of other APIs in it for resource and fetcher and cache. And we definitely want to do some version of those, but just like figuring out the specifics was taking too long. So we split off Hydratable from those.
Yeah.
I hope to see some version of all of those end up in core at some point relatively soon. So yeah, Rich right now is primarily working on stabilization work, and we at some point, hopefully relatively soon, will work on streaming for SSR, which basically means like right now the way that SSR works is you end up with your awaits and your markup, and we wait for those to finish to send your stuff over the wire. And if we encounter a Svelte boundary that has a pending snippet, we just render the pending snippet, and then whatever happens inside of that boundary doesn't happen until it gets to the client.
Right.
Which is, it's not an ideal circumstance because you run into the like SPA problem of you can't start the work inside that boundary until you have gotten to the client and hydrated, and then you can.
Yeah.
So ideally what we would have is like, if you have a pending snippet in your boundary, we can go ahead and skip it for the purposes of like sending the stuff to the client, but we go ahead and keep rendering it on the server. And then on the client, instead of doing like a regular hydration on that boundary, we just wait for the data to get sent to the server to populate that boundary. Kind of like basically how like if you are familiar with React, how suspense works in Next.js, where you like can suspend and it will stream the stuff in, except hopefully more efficient with respect to the amount of data that has to get sent over the wire to make it work. Yeah, so Hydratable does play into all of that with, you know, cooperating with streaming and providing those values synchronously when you get to the client so that you don't have to wait on them again. Yeah.
Yeah. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, we're really excited. I both can't wait for it to be over, like, so that we not because I'm like not happy to be doing it, but like I can't wait for it to be over because I want to be there.
Wow.
And also I'm just having a lot of fun, you know, exploring all this stuff because it's really cool.
Yeah. Anything else that you want to talk about in terms of Hydratable or?
No, I don't think so. We'll have some more cool stuff to show off soon, though.
Cool. I am going to plug before we leave the advent of Svelte that is coming up. There's a new There's a new page on the advent.sveltesociety.dev page. And there's going to be a lot of fun. We are going to have a lot of fun. Hopefully you as well, everyone watching. Yeah, Paolo is doing groceries, so he can't ask complicated questions. So we're lucky today.
Hey, I'm an expert on groceries, so help with that one.
How does one become an expert on groceries, Elliot?
One goes to the grocery store often.
Fair enough. Someone is asking here, Vikram is asking, will I lose hair learning Svelte? No, you will not pull out your hair using Svelte.
I mean, not any faster than the natural rate of losing
exactly,
hair.
Yeah.
Yes. Svelte will not preserve your existing hair, but it will not accelerate.
Or will it? You should probably try. See if it does.
Just take a look at Rich. Look at his first talks from Svelte, and now look at him. I'm pretty sure he has more hair.
Could be true.
Yeah.
Could be true. All right, Elliot. Thank you for joining me on this stream. I hope you had fun. I had a lot of fun.
Great.
And I usually don't really dive into these like PRs that deeply. Like I just like scroll through them and like see them like, so sometimes it's hard to read the PR description and understand what they are about. Like the hydration one, I was like, what is this about?
Yeah.
But then you can always read like the documentation that's added, and you'll kind of figure out what it's about. But it was nice. I should do more of these for more PRs. I think it's probably interesting to people. Yeah. I mean, next time we could probably dive into the actual code as well. If you'd
want.
In some future PR, I mean.
Definitely.
That could be fun. Make people more aware of like what the code looks like, and probably make it so that people aren't so afraid of contributing.
Right? Yeah, I really would like to help people, get into contributing, because it is really cool. And it's unfortunately like a rough time for that right now, because I don't think even Rich and Simon and I fully understand all of the async stuff. So it's like,
right.
I don't know how much I can help you there, but
yeah. I guess there's been a bunch of bugs like related to the async stuff lately. And I mean, I see PRs just like being merged all the time about fixing things here and there. And then like just now I saw something about Simon adding more debug helpers to, I assume, to make it easier to debug these things.
So, yeah, it's really complicated, and as the process of discovery goes, you end up like figuring out how overcomplicated you've made things and then simplifying them. But we're definitely in that stage of like discovery and exploration right now.
Yeah, I tried. So I ran into some weird bug, and I tried debugging it, but it's just like, this is way too, like, I could see like the functions, what they were named, but I had no idea how they like come together, and like how they're running. And there was like this loop that it's just a mess.
Yeah. It's quite an adventure.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, with that said, thank you everyone for joining us, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye. And then I click the awkward end stream button.